Hi, I'm Dr. Vidyanand Raut, and today we are going to talk about total knee replacement using computer navigation. So let's begin.
CAS is just another tool used in addition to visual and tactile information. It does not replace surgical principles or decision making. So whatever has been taught in the last 30 or 40 years in total knee replacement, all those principles would still stand, and one has to be conversant with those principles thoroughly. The traditional way of explaining the principle of CAS is by giving an example of the GPS satellites that revolve around the Earth. All these satellites have a bird's eye view of the position of the car on the surface of the Earth, and this positional information is relayed to the car, where it is displayed in the form of a map, and with the help of that map the car can navigate on the surface of the Earth. Computer navigation works on a similar principle. The satellites are replaced by the navigation camera, the car is replaced by the surgical instruments, and the surface of the earth is replaced by the surface of the patient's bones or the bony anatomy. But I am going to give another practical example, a day-to-day example to understand the principle of CAS. And that is an example of a gaming console like the Xbox or the PS3. So in a gaming console, we have a television monitor, a computer console with an integrated camera, and a handheld controller which is held by the player. Now this controller has got an illuminated ball or a sphere which is read optically by the computer with the help of the camera, and the position of the ball is interpreted by the computer as the position of the tennis racket. CAS works on a very similar principle, but it is a more precise way of applying that principle. So the setup is like this. We have a navigation camera which is mounted on a tall stand, 7 or 8 feet tall. Also we have the computer console. uh, Both of them can be mounted on the same stand with casters. So the in the OR the setup is like this. Surgeon is standing on the left side of the patient, is operating on the left knee, and the navigation unit is placed on the opposite side of the surgeon about 2 meters away from the patient. Important thing is that the navigation camera should have a clear view of the patient's knee. The picture, the lower picture shows what the camera is seeing. So the camera has a clear view of the patient's knee. In the knee, these spherical balls or tracker balls are inserted in the bones with the help of arrays. Arrays are small instruments like external fixators. So we have a femoral array inserted into the femur, we have a tibial array inserted into the tibia, and we have a handheld array which is held by the surgeon. I have taken two photographs of the arrays with flash and without flash. So you can see that with flash the spheres are extremely reflective. So the more light you throw at them, the more reflective they become. Now, there is a host of literature which supports the use of computer navigation in knee replacement. It is clearly proven to be efficacious and extremely accurate. Now, there are several advantages of CAS, and we'll go and talk about these advantages in detail later. The most important thing to be noted is that it is extremely accurate. It enables accurate alignment and implant placement. There are certain disadvantages of CAS. It increases the duration of the surgery by about 20 minutes. It increases the cost of the surgery, and it requires some training in the computer software, although this training is not very difficult to achieve. So today we are going to do a prototype surgery, a total knee replacement using computer navigation. We have this patient, a 52-year-old female with arthritis in both the knees. Today we are going to do the right knee. So in the OR, we have the computer console of the navigation unit. It is a very simple touch screen, as simple as operating a basic level smartphone. The initial setup before surgery is like this. When the system is booted, we come to this screen. We select the profile name, select the procedure name, the type of instrumentation. Then we select the type of implants that we want to use. This system will be compatible with various implants from various manufacturers. And also we choose the surgical technique, that is, we choose the workflow sequence. Some surgeons like to do tibia first, some femur first, and things like that. After that, we choose the femoral alignment, the bony landmarks which we are going to use for alignment. And then there are some advanced settings like how much slope to give in the bones, how much resection to keep in the femur and the tibia, and things like that. Then there are several navigation thresholds. These are set according to surgeon preference and established surgical principles. So once all that is done preoperatively, we come to this procedure overview screen. Now that screen displays the profile name, the name of the procedure, the type of instrumentation, type of implants, our workflow sequence. In short, it displays everything that we have selected in the last few steps. When we click next, we come to the individual patient screen where we enter the patient's name and indoor number using this on-screen pop-up keyboard. After that, we select the side, right or left, and that brings us to the camera setup screen. Now this blue cone that you see represents the field of vision of the navigation camera. We have to ensure that the camera has a clear view of the patient's femur, represented by the yellow dots, and the tibia, represented by the pink dots. So in all positions of the knee, these sets of dots should be visible to the camera. After this, the surgeon will click next and go to scrub up for the surgery. The steps which need to be entered on the computer screen henceforward are done by the assistant. So we come to the surgery proper. As I said before, the setup is very important. The navigation camera should have a clear view of the patient's knee, and the surgeon should have a clear view of the computer monitor. The overhead lights have to be dimmed because too much illumination will cause discomfort. The surgery begins in a standard manner. The knee is exposed from the front through the standard incision. After this, the tracker arrays are inserted. So this is the array in the tibia. Similar array is inserted in the femur. And then we come to the process of registration. Now, using the handheld array, the surgeon will move the array along the different parts of the patient's anatomy using prompts from the computer screen. The computer will tell the surgeon where to point that array. And in this way, the computer will gain information about the anatomy of this particular patient, of this particular knee. So the computer will ask for information about the femoral head center, which the surgeon will feed. Then we come to the condylar geometry, medial condyle, lateral condyle, same thing for the tibia, tibial plateau, lateral tibial plateau, anterior tibial cortex. All this information is fed by the surgeon to the computer. And when the computer has all the information that it needs, this brings us to the step where the computer will generate a three-dimensional model of the patient's bones. So this is a model of the femur, this is a model of the tibia. Now when these two models are joined together, we get an idea of the preoperative deformity of the patient. Now if you compare it with the preoperative X-ray, look how closely it correlates with respect to the deformity. But now we have the deformity, the bones in 3 dimensions. We also have a graphical record of the patient's deformity. So at various degrees of flexion of the knee, the value of the deformity is noted. As you can see, throughout the range of motion, this patient has a varus knee. We also record the extent of knee flexion that is possible. So from the graph you can read that the range of motion of this knee preoperatively is from a flexion deformity of 4 degrees up to a final flexion of 132.5 degrees. And in that position of 4 degrees of flexion, the varus is 6.5 degrees. So all this is recorded in the computer. After that we come to the planning screen. What we are doing in the planning stage is actually we are doing a virtual surgery on the computer without doing anything to the patient's knee. So this red thing that you see on the screen is the position of the femoral component, and the yellow line represents the bone cut. The computer will select a default value of the bone cut, the default position of the femoral component. But we can override the instructions from the computer and we can do minor adjustments. So for example, we can shift the femoral component anteriorly by 1 millimeter. We can flex it. We can change the level of resection. We can also change the size of the femoral component. We can change the rotational alignment of the femoral component. Similarly for the tibial component. Now this blue thing that you see is the tibial component. We can change the varus valgus position, we can change the amount of resection, we can change the slope, the tibial size, everything. Now it is a one-way journey. So we pause, see and confirm that everything that we want is on the screen, and then we go ahead with the bone resections. So we start with the femoral resections in this patient. The femoral cutting block is inserted in the femur. Its position is adjusted so that its varus valgus position, its resection level and the amount of flexion are appropriate, and all these 3 buttons turn green. And when they turn green and when the blue line overlaps the yellow line, the block is known to be at the desired position, and in that position we will fix the block. So with the help of that block, which is now pinned to the femur, through the standard cutting slot we will resect the femur. Similarly we do the same thing on the tibial side. This is the tibial cutting block which is affixed to the tibia, taking care that the varus valgus position, the resection level and the slope are all what we want. After this we get about a 2 centimeter gap in the femur and between the femur and the tibia. We insert a temporary spacer block in that gap, and then we check the limb for alignment and for stability. Thus the surgeon gets a tactile feel of the stability and a visual confirmation of the alignment, which is also supplemented by what the surgeon sees on the screen. So on the screen the display will show about soft tissue balancing and the alignment. We can see that the vertical green line is parallel to the orange line, which tells us that the alignment is accurate. We can see that the medial gap and the lateral gap are almost equal, and so we are happy with this screen. Similarly, we go ahead with the anterior femoral resection. all the resections are verified and any deviation from the plan is noted, because we can make certain adjustments even at this stage. So with all those bone cuts done and the trial components inside, we come to this screen which shows the final leg alignment with the trial components in place. Now we can see this familiar red and blue things which are the femoral and tibial trial components, and with the components in place we can see that the alignment looks good, the medial and lateral gap are alright, the rotation of the tibial component also looks good, what we planned for. And on this graph that we see below, we can see that the yellow dots represent the amount of correction that we have achieved. If you remember, the pink dots represented the deformity. So for example, at 30 degrees of knee flexion, you can see that there was a preoperative deformity of about 5 degrees, and postoperatively this has been corrected to 0 degrees or neutral. This also compares the range of motion preoperatively versus postoperatively. This is the last screen of the navigation process. Once this is done, we can press finish, and then the surgery proceeds in the standard manner. We go ahead and give a good wash, remove the trial components, achieve adequate hemostasis, and put in the actual components and fix them to the bones with the help of bone cement. And this is what we achieve finally. On the post-op X-ray, you can see that the alignment of the limb looks perfect. Individually, the femoral and tibial component are also seen to be well aligned. We can see that the gap between the femoral and tibial component on the medial versus the lateral side is equal. On the lateral X-ray, we can see that the slope of the tibial component is good. There is no notching of the femoral component. The position of the patella looks good. So I think we have won. In short, we have achieved perfect alignment and perfect stability. And because of the excellent stability and alignment that we achieve, we can make the patient stand and walk the next day after surgery. There will be some pain, but the patient can bear it, and early mobilization has several advantages, most notable being that it virtually eliminates the risk of deep vein thrombosis, which is always a concern in a surgery like this. So this is the patient standing on post-op day 2. So to summarize, the advantages of CAS are: it enables accurate alignment and implant placement. It enables accurate ligament balance, thus giving us a very stable knee. It allows the surgeon a visual confirmation at each step of the TKR procedure. It also theoretically allows us to do the surgery through a shorter incision. Obviously, this will reduce complications and reduce blood loss. Most important, it maintains a record of each individual surgical step. This is important for research purposes and maybe also for medico-legal purposes. CAS also enables a shorter hospital stay and a quicker recovery. So the question is, whenever the navigation machine is available, should we use CAS? The answer to that question is, don't be the first to try a new technology, but at the same time, don't be the last when the old technology is discarded. The days of being afraid of the computer and running away from the computer are all gone. We are all now masters of the computer.